Thank you for tuning into the Pre-Patch Podcast. And check out these patch notes.
And again, they snuck this in, like all of this stuff is kind of happening, and then they kind of like went, oh, hey, by the way, whoop, the Game Pass and price of Series X are going up. Like that's also happening too.
Yeah.
That
was a weird thing that popped up. I understand why they probably did it, because Sony did it last year. I don't know if they feel like there's more value to the console, or if the production of the consoles has went up some way. Because Sony's reason for upping the price was due to changes in the hardware.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Xbox Series X is also having changes in some of the hardware and prices that upped production cost, but it just seemed weird, especially considering they were saying that they aren't super invested in the console wars as of right now.
Well, I don't think you have to be invested in the console war to. Again, I don't think they're ever not going to sell a console, right? Like they're just not in a war with Sony, like they've been in since pretty much day one, right? Like I think they've just given up. They're just like, fuck it, Sony, you do your own thing over there. I don't think that they're ever going to get over the fact that like their consoles are not profitable, right? Like that's never going to be a thing that they just accept. And so this wasn't that big of a surprise to me, at least not on the Xbox, on the Game Pass part. The Xbox, the actual console, maybe a little bit, but like I've always thought that like the Game Pass is severely underpriced for what you get.
Well, so two things. One, I remember the world where the longer a console was out or a product was out, the cheaper it would get.
Yeah.
What the fuck dystopian world we live in now, where the longer something is out, the more expensive it becomes? Like they did it with the Quest. They're doing it with these systems.
Then again, like, I remember a world when, games were, $49.99 instead of $79.99. So
yeah, it's wild. The other point
I'm sorry to not only $49.99 to $79.99, but also having an actual physical copy of your game to only having a digital license to play that game. Like,
and they didn't all launch buggy as shit.
Yeah,
and
that's fucking
waiting for day one
me,
patches. To be fair on the price hike, and we're talking about the Game Pass price hike here. The price of Game Pass has not changed since 2017. So keep that in mind too. Like sure. It's gone, it's been the same price. And the price that is changing is the console version of the Game Pass, which is even more of another step in my mind of them kind of saying like, not devaluing or pushing it away, but I think you're right. I think it is undervalued. Like I think it is still, you could probably easily charge like $20 a month. Don't do that. But you could charge $20 a month.
This is also a good point. Is it Celia?
Yeah.
Celia. I'm sorry. Celia in chat is also pointing out that they're only raising the prices in certain countries. So US, Japan, Chile, Brazil, and Colombia will not have their prices raised. But anywhere outside of those countries is going to raise. So that makes a little bit of sense just because of the fluctuation of like the dollars in some of those countries are not as like the prices, like the actual tangibleness of that dollar is going down in a lot of places, but I don't know. I'm of
world economy.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm of the opinion that, again, like you said, like I miss the days when a fucking console or when an item in general got older, it got cheaper, right? I'm of that. Granted, with Xbox Game Pass, exactly like you were just saying, I personally feel that it was criminally underpriced to begin with. Like $10 or $14, I think is what it is for the big pass right now, right? I believe at least
$14.99
was, to me, that felt like that was severely underpriced for the amount of games that you got, right? Just being able to play whatever, as well as the fact that a lot of games that are coming out for Xbox are day one Game Pass, right?
As long as they're not like day one.
As long as they're not day one bugs,
like Redfall,
buggy pieces of shit for sure. But still, even that though, like that's a perfect example of why Xbox Game Pass is such a great deal. I didn't pay any money for that, essentially.
Yeah,
no,
you're not wrong. I get to try it, and I don't have to fucking pay.
I paid $14 to play hundreds of games and to have the ability to not have to pay $70 for that buggy piece of shit, right? So that to me, right, that's a big drive for Game Pass in my eyes, at least. and I'd be willing to pay the price hike. I don't know if I'd be willing to pay for too much more of a price hike. I think that it's at the current price that they have it when they hiked it, which I think it was it's going from 10.99 to I fuck, what was it?
10.99 to 11.99. It's just a buck up
11.99 and 14.99
for that version.
and
Yeah.
14.99 to 16.99. I don't
Yeah.
think that I would pay too much. I don't think I would pay $20. Like that's a World of Warcraft subscription right there, right? Like that's kind of the sweet spot. I don't think I would pay too much more for that. I think at that point, if they start going into like the $20 range, you're starting to go into that zone where you're like, this is starting to get a little bit ridiculous, guys. Let's haul back on that just a little bit, you know?
My mindset on this is, have they done anything recently to warrant the price hike? To which I think a lot of people would argue no.
I would argue that they've
disagree.
I would argue that again, like I said, I don't think that it is ever like I don't think that introductory price of 10.99 should have been the price for this long. If they were going to hike it up, they should have hiked it up back when it went full into release, right? Like I do agree with you that recently they haven't done a whole lot to like warrant it, but in the past,
they also don't have anything coming out in the next year that's really like outside of Starfield.
I don't know. I still disagree. I don't mean to interrupt, but I think it's not fair to say that it's not that what have they done recently? When you look at the games, even like let's not talk about like I'm not saying like first party games, or I'm taking out Redfall or like I like just games in general. I'm looking through the list right now of continuous games that they continuously to bring out to this thing, and $9.99, like yes, to warrant even $1 hike on, yeah, dude, there's so many fucking games on this list that you can play right now. There's probably, I've been scrolling since I've been talking. There's probably a total of gotta be over 100 plus games. Easy on here. And you're talking about, they're solid old shit. Like, I mean, you're talking, the Yakuza games are on here, which even up to the newer ones.
But this is all stuff that they had at the old price point. What have they done to warrant the price increase?
Well,
I'm saying.
I think continuously to bring out games, and also to say like these games that are coming, yes, they're not out yet, but you are going to have them day one. Like you will have them day one on Game Pass. Like we don't know when we're going to necessarily get them. And yeah, you're price hiking me now, but it's kind of like a pre-order, right? I'm getting price hike now to know that I'm going to get, like, I know those games are going to come out and I know they're going to be on Game Pass. Like I will be able
whatever
to play.
copium you guys need to have for a price hike that's unjustified.
Okay.
I mean,
it feels like an unjustified price hike. They haven't done anything in my eyes recently to up the value of Game Pass. That's just my take.
Okay. I mean, I get it. I mean, each their own.
Yeah, that's your take. I think it's a wrong take, but that's just me personally. But I think again, it plays into that. I don't think that's like paying the $10. I don't think that they've been criminally under evaluating what Game Pass was worth since the start. Like, granted, yeah, they haven't done anything recently other than add more games to Game Pass, but I think that again, Game Pass has been worth. We've said it multiple times on the podcast before. The Game Pass has been worth the money, if not more, for a long time.
What would have been? Let me ask you this, Bill, and just I'm not picking. I want to know, like, legitimately, what would be what would have need to happen to warrant a price hike, in your eyes? Like, what would be the thing that would say, okay, this is worth it? Is it?
I would want to see. So if the Activision Blizzard deal like 100% locks in, and they added a bunch of Activision Blizzard titles to Game Pass, that would justify the price hike. That being said, that would go against what the FTC's threaten, like saying that they're going to do and all that stuff. So it would just kind of confirm what the FTC's suspicions were. Regardless, that would be one selling point. Two, I want to see more of what they have gotten out of the Bethesda deal outside of the 2 games that we've gotten so far. I would potentially say Starfield launch, if it launches well, would be a justification point, especially with Elder Scrolls 6
No, I
at
was about
some
to
point
say,
coming
yeah,
out.
we know that we have Starfield coming out, and we know that we have Elder Scrolls 6 coming out. That's going to be a day one on Game Pass.
Yeah, but
We
those are
have
all
Fallout.
a while
Yeah,
out.
we have Fallout 76. I guess if you're excited for that, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Redfall, sure, whatever. But that's I don't know. You're
So okay, well, what about okay? You said about the Activision stuff coming through and seeing that come on to Game Pass. What about Riot? And I know that is like it's niched out to people that play Riot, but like if you have Game Pass and you play League of Legends, you have all the heroes unlocked, right? Like that's
not just that. You have all the heroes unlocked in League of Legends. You have Valorant, all the shit that they give you in Valorant, etc.
like
etc.
do you
I don't know.
and I'm not again I'm not picking a fight. I'm just asking counterpoints to like feel how you feel, right?
Right.
I'm just looking at like different things of saying like you know what are
Those,
these
those are niche examples, and if you are a new player getting invested into those games, then yeah, Game Pass might be worth it for that specifically. It's a case by case basis on the Riot front. I would think it all depends. If you're an older player that already has most things unlocked, there's no value there. But if you're a new player that's getting into it, yeah, I could see the value in it.
Yep. Okay. All right. No, I mean, again, to each their own. I think.
But I don't think making the argument that they've been underselling for years and now they're gonna upcharge it is valid. They have like if they have been undercharging it, that's on them, and they should never have made it that price point to begin with. Especially now with everything going on,
Yeah, I mean
I think this
I
makes
already
them
said
look
that.
worse in the FTC's eyes trying to get this deal to go through. I genuinely
I
think they
don't
should have
know
waited until the FTC stuff went
I don't know
away
how
before they did any of this
this
stuff with the
correlates with the
console
FTC
increase,
though.
because that was one of the counterpoints to them getting this acquisition, was that it was going to raise the price of Game Pass, and if they're raising the price of Game Pass without the acquisition, there's more justification for them to do it again after the acquisition.
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. I think that's a bit of a stretch on that one, but sure.
I mean, I get what you're trying to say, Bill, is by saying like if they would have price hiked after the acquisition, it looks bad. It doesn't look good, right?
Yeah.
It's a piss poor look, especially because they said that they wouldn't. I think we're over analyzing the price hike,
Yeah.
and I think this all comes down to the world economy, state of money, how much things are fucking
But
costing.
it also
and all that
comes
kind of
down
things,
to
like-
what we were talking about earlier with the streaming services. Like they're accustomed to a certain amount of people spending that kind of money, and now that people are going back into the workforce, now they're like, why the fuck are we seeing some huge dips in people subscribing to these things? So what's the
Right.
natural progression for that? The natural progression is hike the price of the subscription, right? Like that's
Right.
just the
And
natural thing to do, in my personal
and
opinion.
price
Doesn't mean it's good.
price
Doesn't
hikes
mean it's bad
are
or good. I
right.
mean, I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but
No, I don't think you
Yeah.
are. Any price hike is anti-consumer in nature.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. I mean, all of this is to say all price hikes are fucking bad. What I think we can all agree on, though, as far as a digital service that's out there, when you're taking in Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Sony's, PlayStation Plus, which probably is the one that comes the closest to this as far as value. I think we can all agree that Game Pass's value to what you get for content is probably the most bang for its buck. I don't,
for
I
now
am.
at least,
I've gone
yeah,
through. Yeah, for now, I've gone through like Netflix, all that kind of like. I don't. Netflix is a whole
Yeah.
other fucking story.
for sure. Yeah.
So moving.
Thank you for checking out the patch notes. If you enjoyed this small selection from our podcast, come join us every Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the full unfiltered pre-patch podcast. And check out our past shows on anchor.fm/prepatch podcast.